Hi everyone, it's great to have you here for our webinar session on NAPLAN from home, tips to prepare and excel. I am Saloni from Turito, your host for the day. So let's start with a brief introduction first. Turito empowers students from grades 1 to 12 with personalized and all-inclusive learning, guiding them to success. Trusted by 10,000 plus students, Turito conducts over 30,000 plus live sessions monthly and houses more than 1,500 plus tutors. With a global footprint covering the US, Canada, India, Australia, Singapore, UK, and the Middle East. Turito offers solution for all grades. So we also offer tutoring services for maths, English, science, coding, and robotics. So this webinar will precisely focus on NAPLAN. So what makes Turito stand apart are its live interactive classes by the top 2% expert who are thoroughly vetted, trained, onboarded. Turito aims at providing personalized learning experience with learning plan to fit learner requirement. We take regular assessment with paper discussion, feedback session, followed by parent app for progress tracking at every step. Turito believes in having student-specific methodology and building conceptual understanding in the students. So if anybody has any kind of questions, they can put in the chat box. Our subject matter expert, along with our team, will answer your queries after the webinar. So for our webinar, we have with us Mr. Durga Prasad, who is the Global Program Head at Turito. So he has over 28 years of teaching experience. He is BTech, IIT, AMIE, MSc Mathematics. He has worked as a child psychologist in US and studied education management in UK. So over to you, Mr. Durga Prasad.
Yeah, thank you, Saloni. Yeah, a warm welcome to all the parents and students, and of course, my colleagues also. Yeah, this regarding NAPLAN, I want to make few clarifications to parents. Maybe all parents know about it, but still I thought it's good that I also clarify a little bit. First of all, this NAPLAN test is only assessment test. This is not an examination. Nowhere this decides pass or fail of a child. It only assesses the child abilities to cope up with some syllabus that is designed for them and the outcomes that this curriculum is bringing from the child. And curriculum is designed with certain objectives, whether those objectives are being met or not. This is what is being assessed mainly. So there is nothing like pass or fail for any of these students. Of course, this NAPLAN test is conducted for 3, 5, 7, and 9 grade children, not for other 4, 6, 8, and 10. So why this is done means first and foremost thing is they would like to assess every alternate year for a child. Government of Australia would like to assess whether the thought with which the curriculum is designed, whether it is really solving the purpose or not, and the objectives what are designed are really being met or not. They would like students to be scientists, engineers, doctors, academicians, then accountants, administrators, business people, and so many. So these are all the thought with which it has been designed. So any of these things, mainly the skill of analytics and language, these play vital role, whether it is learning sciences or whether it is learning mathematics or whether it is learning social studies or whatever may be the thing. So language and analytical skills play a lot of role. When I talk about analytical skills, it involves numeracy also. So therefore, government would like to assess, government of Australia would like to assess whether a child is having or developing enough skills in these two directions or not. So if these two are developed, then automatically other subjects are also being developed in the child. And this is what government would like to assess. So therefore, they would expect every student to take this test, and particularly they would like schools to make it compulsory for all the students to take this test. Though this does not decide whether a student has passed a grade or failed a grade, nothing of those kinds. Government would like these schools to make it compulsory. Now, when this is neither deciding pass or fail, then why a school should be making it compulsory, and how it really makes or forces school to make it compulsory? This is very, very important. So in this, majorly there are two reasons. One, there are few private schools in Australia which are most sought by the toppers, so-called toppers, or the students who are quick in learning. So this becomes an academic credit for those kids. If they score good in this NAPLAN assessment test, then it becomes an academic credit which can be considered by those schools when they are allotting seats to students. Second thing is, most of the schools in Australia are government funded schools. So a school, when they are asking for some fund, they need to justify whether they are really doing what is expected by government in their schools or not, whether it is developing infra, whether it is developing faculty, whether it is developing academic systems, follow-up of the academic systems design, and children feel comfortable with that, children able to learn, and so many things. All these things are being assessed. And also curriculum designed by Government of Australia involves not only pure academics, but also extracurricular, co-curricular activities, then sports, social activities, so many things. So they would like all these things to be followed by the schools, or ensure that they are being followed by children also. Not only that, schools, when they are teaching this, students should be able to cope up with the syllabus. When I talk about syllabus, not performing in their subjective tests that are being conducted in the school. We talk about conceptual development among the kids connected to the syllabus that is being designed. So if child is not able to cope up with the concepts, then definitely schools need to think of, parents need to think of, and as well children need to think of how to develop these concepts. So if really some student is struggling somewhere, if it is in smaller scales, then that problem is limited to those few kids. If it is in larger scale, then it is problem with the system itself or curriculum itself. So government need to think on what to do, how to do, with the suggestions from the concerned stakeholders. So all these things need to be done. And if really some child is really facing a problem, when it is a smaller scale problem, then parents and children play a vital role than schools alone, because parents need to think of, discuss, sit with the child, discuss with the child where they are finding it difficult, and help them, support them, give them sufficient time for the child to grow or cope up with the syllabus or recover from the deficits that they have, and so many things. So therefore, NAPLAN plays a vital role, dear parents, like in terms of students as well as in terms of schools. And the parents definitely, they put their children in different schools to make their children come up in their life, achieve something big, and start working for bigger companies or start their own companies, become entrepreneurs, then administrators, and so on. They wish their kids to be those. Therefore, they wish those students also to cope up, their kids to cope up with the syllabus or curriculum. And definitely they would like to give their best in making the child understand and cope up. So when all these points are put together, there are certain points that will arise. One, this assessment test is conducted only for 3, 5, 7, 9 grades. Then a child who is in grade 2, should they start working on this, or grade 4, should they work on this, or if they are in grade 3, grade 5, when they should start? This NAPLAN assessment test is taken in May or conducted in May. Then when a child should take, if my child misses this test in May, what happens? All these things. Now, dear parents, please listen to me carefully here. I want everyone to understand this concept or thinking. See, this assessment test is conducted in grade 3, grade 5, grade 7, and grade 9. So, why not a child start in grade 2? Because if child is starting early and facing some problem, then we will have time to support the child. We will have time to help the child in making them overcome the problems they are facing. We'll have time to understand whether child is growing conceptually or just learning question and answers or preparing just for exams, whether child is developing the conceptual knowledge or not, etc., etc. All these things can be assessed, whether child is developing sufficient skills in numeracy and in language, and whether child is developing the skills of narrating things. See, when it is language, it's not just speaking or writing or reading, something like that. It involves everything. One should be able to narrate about themselves. One should be able to narrate about other things. So many things. Whether all these skills are being developed or not, we can understand. If in case some child is facing any problem, if we start early, we'll have sufficient time to support the child, develop those skills. Give sufficient. See, if there are 10 things need to be done, if we ask a child to do them in 1 year, they may face some difficulty levels. If same thing is asked to be done by the child in 2 years of time, child gets sufficient time to distribute those 10 things into 2 years period and grow comfortably and fully, develop fully and perform fully, and also develop the skills that are required. So it is justificable from all of us, particularly from parents and also schools, to support the child from as early time as possible and make the child feel comfortable with the curriculum or the syllabus that is being given, and ensure that child grows at a pace without facing any undue pressure, and as well cope up with all other additional activities that need to be done by the child. So it is always good to start early, maybe second or third or four or five or six or seven or eight or nine, whatever may be the class. Now, second question is, my child is already in third grade or fifth or seventh or ninth. Will it be too late? So dear parents, as I mentioned, definitely nothing will be late or too late. Only thing is, a child need to take little additional stress and strain to cope up with the things if at all they are facing a problem. A child need to give a little extra time for themselves, and as well parents need to be a bit more careful and a bit more involved in making the child understand these things. So therefore, if a child is in a particular grade of 3, 5, 7, 9, it's not late, but definitely I believe it's good to start supporting the child from the previous grades or as early as possible, because our intentions are not just to develop the skill of calculations, whether it is with a calculator or without calculator in mathematics, but also skill of analyzing things. So when we talk about analytical skills, definitely a child need to be more accurate in mental ability. And as well, a child need not just read and write some language, but they should also be able to use that language in different forms of communications. Different forms of communications are listening, writing, reading, speaking, group discussions, interviewing skills, and life skills. In all these things, this language need to be used, which will be helpful for the child to learn other subjects like sciences, social studies, and other languages comfortably. So for all these things, we need to support the child. So now, overall picture of conducting this test, how it helps students, how it helps schools, why it is needed to be started early, whether something is late or not late, all these things we have discussed. But now the question arises, how Turito is going to support children in these things. Dear parents, I would like to bring certain points to the parents' mind or notice that first and foremost thing is when we talk about Turito, Turito never takes up NAPLAN as just a test preparation. We take up this as test preparation as well to observe and resolve the problems faced by students in developing the analytical skills, logical reasoning skills, then calculation skills, then conceptual depth and everything. So our faculty who are picked from India as well as from Australia, USA, and all over the world. Our teachers are spread over all over the world. And whenever we have around 1,500 faculty working with us at different zones, at different levels for different subjects and all. So whenever we put a sub teacher for some teaching of any type of test prep or anything it is, first we ensure that those teachers have complete knowledge of that curriculum which they are going to teach. They have experience in that zone. First we pick those faculties. Then we have a testing process to pick a faculty also. First we conduct a written test. After written test is over, then we go for subject expert interview, then we go for demo, and then afterwards we go for interview, and then we finalize a faculty. And after they being finalized, we put them on 1 month's training, and after training is over, they are placed for teaching, even though they are experienced, all this process is done. And once they start teaching, involved in teaching learning process, we keep on evaluating them periodically to ensure that they deliver the subject that is being that is needed for them to deliver. Second thing is, our portal has a system wherein it records all the lectures that are being taught to the children and put back in the portal. We have a beautiful platform, well designed, student friendly platform. It's called as Turito's EdTech platform, which is world's leading platform now. And we place all these lectures taught in that platform so that student can get access to those recorded lectures anytime they want. And a student need not go for another tuition or another place to learn all these things. We help children go through those lectures as and when they require, and at their pace, not at our pace. They can increase the speed, decrease the speed, all these things they can do. They can listen to the lectures, and after listening to teachers in the classroom, if they open the platform, they have something called as classwork, content in the form of classwork, then DPPs, daily practice papers, then work at leisure, then previous year test papers, then additional test papers for practice, and so on, all these things. So every day a child need to practice the models they are taught and get acquainted with the things they are being taught to by learning them. So if some child is able to spend extra time, they have some additional resources called as work at leisure, previous year papers, solved papers, and etc., which they can use and learn more and more. Now, once these teaching learning process takes place, we will test the children fortnightly by conducting tests, and these tests are not to assess the level of child, but it is conducted to assess how comfortable a child is with the syllabus that is being taught and what are the improvements that we need to make. And apart from that, when teacher is teaching, teacher will not be just delivering the lecture that is or the syllabus that is being given to them, but they'll also be observing by interactive method of teaching learning process and trying to understand whether child is really able to cope up with the things or not. If child is facing any problem, even if it is regular curriculum for them, teacher alerts the parent through our system. Our managers will be contacting parents. We will be talking to the parents, explaining them where a child is lagging, and we'll also guide and suggest on how those deficits can be overcome and we'll be helping child by all means to grow and feel comfortable with all the syllabus and curriculum that is being given to them. And apart from this, even after all this, a child may face some problem in teaching learning process. If child is really facing a problem, we go for one-on-one doubt sessions. There are two ways of conducting. Every Friday, there will be one doubt session that is being conducted for children. Apart from that, suddenly we ask children, like if they have some doubts, they put us a need request, then we arrange classes or doubt sessions individually also to those few kids if they have a problem. So this, whatever you are seeing is the examination pattern of grade 3, grade 5, grade 7, and grade 9. NAPLAN is concerned. And of course, this all details will be given once you enroll with us. You'll be given all these details and how we work and how we help all these things. And as ours is a tech platform with one-on-one coaching, individual coaching, group coaching, test prep coaching, everything, we'll be able to help your child in all means. It's almost like all-in-one system. Whatever may be the problem, whichever zone it may be, wherever, whichever area it may be, we'll be able to help the child. This is all about NAPLAN test, its processes, and how Turito will help, and how Turito is more powerful or more or a better program than any other institute that is in the market. I explained all the things. I would like to take it forward to my team members and parents to ask me next doubts or questions so that I can answer them all. Thank you all, and wish I serve the purpose. And if really something is missing, you can ask me all those things. Thank you. Yeah, Saloni, over to you.
Thank you so
Saloni,
much.
over to you.
Thank you so much. I hope it was an enriching session and everybody had, their takeaways. So now we have Mr. Shivam, our program manager who will be handling your queries related to this. So over to you, Mr. Shivam Jha.
Thank you, Saloni. Hi, everyone. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Please drop in your queries in the Q&A section or chat box. Okay, so everyone, our team will be, okay, we have a question.
Shivam, I think there is one question that is being asked. Do you assess the kid and give a report prior to the commencement of class? Yes, we have something called as diagnostic test. We would be more comfortable in assessing the student and decide on how to start and where to start based on that diagnostic test that is being conducted. Generally, most of the parents would like us to assess the child before we start, but very few parents would have a pre-idea about their kids, so they'll be updating us. So we have assessment test, diagnostic test, and we conduct assess, then decide on how to start, where to start for the child.
Also, I'd like to mention that to all the attendees here, our team will be reaching out to you by today or tomorrow. And we are also running some discounts for first 48 hours once the webinar finishes. So we are offering 30% discount if you are enrolling with us within 48 hours of this webinar. Plus, if you are referring someone and they also enroll with us, you will be getting additional $50 off on the current pricing after discount. Here we have a question. If the
There is one more question that is being asked. If child is having any problem or needs additional support, whether it is done, yes, we do that. As I mentioned early in my discussion, we'll be continuously evaluating child as long as the coaching goes on, and we support the child wherever needed or by whatever may be the means or methods that need to be worked upon. And even after completion of course, if child needs